Time for another Soccer Down Here 1v1. And you notice, for those watching on the video side, that there's something a little different about what's going on in Jacksonville. Time to catch up with friend of the network, Steve Livingstone, and managing partner, president, CEO of Sporting Club Jacksonville. It is no longer, but it is in part. It is morphed from Jax USL to now Sporting Club Jax. Welcome back.
Great to be back, John. Now that we have a name and an identity and all of the great stuff that people have been asking us for the last year, when are we going to get it? So it's awesome to be able to announce that this past week, and we're just so excited about the reaction we've had to it.
All right, you're looking at my notes already. So what is the vibe been since you have announced the name as another part of this approach to heading toward life in the USL Championship full time?
It's been good, and obviously it's a big concern when you're launching a new team, that you get the name right, you get the brand right, and we spent an awful lot of time working on this really for the past year. I've lived in the market for 20 years now. I've lived in Jacksonville, but it's still, I think, vitally important that you go through an exercise of consultation, which is what we did with the community. We spent a lot of time, not only in Duval County, but in the surrounding counties as well. I think we visited seven different counties in the First Coast area. That was important for us. We held town hall sessions. We listened to the fans. We did a huge survey. We had about 5,000 respondents to that survey. And then we had a series of workshops and listening sessions where we brought in a branding expert called Erica Bjork, who's done a lot of this work for USL teams. And she was just wonderful, just fantastic to work with. If you're starting a team, John, I recommend Erica. She came in, she lived in the market, she met with all the key kind of stakeholders, and we talked to everyone from, the mayor to the youth soccer clubs to the artist community, the African American community, Hispanic Latino community, everybody that really would have some kind of connection to soccer. We spent an awful lot of time just sitting down with them, and it was a good excuse to have a couple of beers as well, I've got to admit. But from all of that work, we gathered a whole bunch of intelligence and kind of pulled that together, worked with Erica, worked with Matthew Wolf on the design. And you see the result of that, today.
Baker Clay, Duval, Flagler, Nassau, Putnam, and St. John's all attached to this, and that's part of the fabric that you're looking for there. And I'm hoping that you kept track of your mileage, so for the taxes, and then at 58 cents a mile, because we're getting close to the end of the calendar year, you can kind of sit there and keep track of everything. Now that I put it that way, how many miles are we talking about on the car? How much? I assume you've got unlimited talk and text on your phone. I mean, how in-depth the process was this? Well,
typically when you go for a pint of milk in Jacksonville, you're probably driving about 20 miles anyway, So, that adds up. I mean, I think I looked at one of the weekend events that we did, and I'd done a kind of round trip of about 75 miles up to Nassau County and back. And, coming from Scotland, that's like driving from Glasgow to Edinburgh and back. When we do that in Scotland, we take a packed lunch with us, and some blankets in case we break down. So it just gives you an idea of the enormity of Jacksonville. We're the largest surface city in the US. We get more surface space in Jacksonville than we do in Los Angeles. And, again, it was really, I think, important for us to connect regionally. We felt that was very important. There is a team in Jacksonville already, the Armada. I'm sure we're going to talk about them. I was involved in their logo design and setup and all of that great stuff, getting that thing started. And we're respectful to that. I mean, they really see themselves more as a kind of a Duval entity, and that's fantastic. We're going to look forward to having some rivalry with them as well. But we kind of saw this thing on a slightly larger scale, a larger level, and really we want to appeal to the entire First Coast as well as Duval, and that means all the surrounding counties as well. So that was why we arrived at this moniker for the team in JAX, because anybody that lives here in Jacksonville immediately identifies with JAX, and it's not just downtown and Duval. It's the whole region. So we felt that was important in reflecting, the identity and the nature of the club.
How many different folders and PDFs and JPEGs did you have to look at to sit there before you finally came across that logo behind you and you're like, yep, that's it?
Actually, that was kind of remarkably quick. I think a lot of that was due to the amount of work that was put in beforehand. Matthew did come back to us with, I think it was 4 different executions on the logo, and they varied greatly. I think one of the things that the fans told us here, the supporters told us, was that soccer authenticity was really important to them. They wanted the club to be identifiable as a soccer club. So that took us down that kind of pathway of traditional soccer name. United, City, we obviously had to stay away from them. We have Orlando City down the road. We have Atlanta United just up the road. And frankly, FC is a little bit boring. So that's why we kind of landed on this Sporting Club. It's traditional, it's authentic, but it's not widely used as well, and we thought that was important. And then there was a bigger kind of mission on the name. We wanted it to be representative not only of what we're doing with the men's and women's pro soccer clubs, but also of what we're doing in the community here. And part of what we're trying to do is not only just bringing pro soccer at a higher level to Northeast Florida, but also developing facilities here that will house the men's and women's pro teams, but also make it sustainable. So that kind of that idea of the whole region was really important. The 4 different iterations were important from the authenticity side of things, which is why we landed on the Sporting Club Jacksonville thing. And then again, in terms of our ambitions with the facilities and what we want to do for the wider community, we see this club as going potentially beyond soccer. So with the facilities that we're planning, things like rugby, things like lacrosse. So again, I've seen some people commenting on, well, why are you a sporting club if you're not doing these other things? Well, we will be doing these other things, and we are doing these other things. Our tie-in with Tim Tebow and his group, the foundation over there, and the special needs and the Special Olympics, these are all part of who we are and what we want to be about.
How did you convince Fred Taylor to be involved in a sport where he can't hang on to the football and try to run off a left tackle for a long gain? How did you get Fred and Becky involved?
Well, I think it goes back to that idea of what we're trying to do, in the community. And certainly Fred was very interested when he heard what the plan was in terms of our facilities development, in terms of the connection into the community. Particularly the African-American community. The club motto is going to be Lift Every Voice, which is taken from the James Weldon Johnson hymn, Lift Every Voice and Sing, which was actually written here in Jacksonville at the turn of the century. James Weldon Johnson being one of our favourite sons here in Jacksonville. So that was a beautiful thing to unearth, and then being able to engage Fred in that and open up our 35% African-American community in Jacksonville through that was really important to us. Fred has been a long-time friend of our majority owner, Ricky Kaplan. And when Ricky presented what we were trying to do, Fred immediately was, I'm all in. And to have someone of that stature involved in what we're doing, and not only in terms of the stats and the legendary status that Fred has here, he's just a really good guy. And he cares about this community and wants to do something to make the community better. So it wasn't an easy sell to get Fred on board. Becky is wonderful. I mean, you talk about a soccer brain and a contact book that's ridiculous. I mean, she knows everyone in the women's game, and she's sitting right here in our doorstep. So we'd have to be crazy not to tap into that level of expertise. And again, Becky's one of those people, doesn't live in Jacksonville, lives in Gainesville, but was more than happy to kind of lend her support to what we're doing and is excited about the project certainly from the women's standpoint. We'll be the first women's professional team that Jacksonville's ever had. We've had, professional women golfers from here, tennis players, but organised, high-level, professional Division 1 soccer, there's a huge opportunity here to influence so many people. So many young girls in this community that typically would give up soccer at 14, 15 or have to move to another city. So the opportunity to be involved in that, I think, really appealed to Becky, and we're just so lucky to have somebody with that level of expertise and energy to come in and be part of our program here. She's coaching us all up, which is awesome.
How much of a challenge is it to have all of these different elements that are attached to Sporting Club Jax and make sure that you're moving all of them at the same pace at the same time, so not one aspect is left behind, whether it's unified when you brought in Tim Tebow and the foundation, whether it's Super League, USLS, or USL Championship? How do you make sure that everything is still moving forward as one element here?
Well, it's definitely a challenging element of what we're trying to do here. I think we are being extremely ambitious, but then again, a lot of that has been driven by our ownership and our investors, who themselves are all incredibly successful people and expect that level of ambition to kind of come along with the club. They want the club to be the best in everything that we do. Everything from our facilities to our community presence to, championing the women's game to helping work with the youth clubs in the area as well. We want to work with all of them and be agnostic to all of them as well. So I think we're trying to do things the right way is what I'm trying to say here. And that kind of high level of excellence, I think, is important, not only to success, but also to the people that are backing the team and behind the team. And, we hope to deliver in everything we do, the highest level of professionalism, the highest level of soccer. And again, I think we'll be rewarded by doing that with the interest that we'll develop in the community here.
Steve Livingstone, friend of the network, president, CEO of Sporting Club Jacksonville. We can say that now.
There we go. Go Sporting Jax.
Hanging out with us for a 1v1. Where are you right now in the excavation and exploration phase of trying to find that home, knowing that it can't just be like a hectare of land off in a corner someplace? You got to have some acreage with everything that you want to do. Where are you in trying to find a home and find that space right now?
So, John, that's the next important milestone for us, and that's a huge milestone. And one thing I learned through my experience with the Armada is that you have to get that right. In order to be sustainable, you need to be in your own facility. But not only that, it needs to be a facility itself that's going to be sustainable. And that's one of the things that we liked about the USL model. I mean, we did look at all the other leagues as we were kind of developing what we were trying to do here in Northeast Florida. And one thing that really stood out for us was the USL business model. So in order to get the franchise with the USL, you don't only have to demonstrate that you have the wherewithal to start and sustain, one or two professional clubs, but you need the infrastructure and support there to back that up. And that means playing in your own stadium. But beyond that, looking at a commercial development around the stadium. And then the other big kind of component, the third component, if you like, is supporting the youth game and developing facilities either at your stadium or outside of your stadium. And that really appealed to us in terms of our overall business plan. So, step one, get the franchise, bring in the women's team, the men's team, the youth academy, ally with the youth clubs in the area, try to develop and elevate the game. Step two, develop a facility and facilities that's going to enable you to do that. And we're really at a fairly advanced stage in that right now and hope to make some big announcements fairly early in the new year as it relates to our stadium development. But beyond the stadium development, we're looking at developing regional sportsplexes. There's a big lack of playing fields in Northeast Florida. And there's a huge youth soccer community here, a huge youth sports community. And they're having to travel to Atlanta or down to Orlando to compete in tournaments. And literally, we have families driving past Jacksonville. So we're definitely of the mindset if we build it, they will come, quite literally, because they're driving past. So this opportunity to work in concert with the local counties, which again goes back to our idea of this being a regional thing, and form public-private partnerships in the development of 16-field youth soccer facilities. We want to put one in St. Johns County. We're fairly advanced on that. We'd like to do one in Clay County. We're looking at doing one in Duval County. That then puts us in the realm of being able to operate 45 fields, which then gets us back to, bringing in significant tournament play and significant economic impact for our region as well. So the stadium and the teams are one part of that plan. The other part of it is this kind of regional development, which again lends back to this idea of a sporting club that could be branded across all of those things. So that's the master plan, and hopefully we can carry that out. It is ambitious, but again, we've got a great ownership group behind us. I'm just about to start hiring, a front office and building that out. The people that we've got here now have been absolutely amazing, and it's just the next step, onward and upward.
You mentioned the Armada, so we'll go ahead and talk about that 6-letter word. They have chosen to go the route of MLS Next Pro, NWSL. They're investigating NWSL, but they're heading down the MLS Next Pro path. One of the tenets that we have always lived by here at SDH is rising tide lifts all boats. And we've always meant to sit there and we have these kinds of discussions about multiple teams in a singular market. You find your audience, you make sure that you have 100% of that, and that you can peacefully coexist. When I mentioned peaceful coexistence with the Armada and then with your path and then with their path and you with yours, what's your look having your history there with them and now you're with Sporting Jax?
So the Armada was a labour of love for me for almost 5 years. I was there at the start. I was the first employee. I kind of helped drive that thing. Again, we had great ownership there, great staff. Unfortunately, our business model was flawed. That hurt when we saw them kind of take their step down and tumble and then go into that kind of hiatus. Obviously, some of that was out with their control with what happened in the NESL. But I have a great fondness for the Armada. I love the Armada. It was something that was a big part of my life, and it continues to be. And I kind of get hurt oftentimes when I see some of the speculation, on social media about what we are doing and how it's against what they're doing. And it's really nonsense, to be honest with you. This is a huge market. We've got a great opportunity to have multiple soccer clubs in this area. I've been looking around downtown Jacksonville to see the big pillar that says, "Thou shalt only have one soccer team," and I can't find it. Yeah. And again, I come from a background in a country where there's hundreds of soccer teams. And again, this is a huge country. This is a huge regional area. Why shouldn't we have multiple soccer teams? And again, we'll be appealing at the highest level that we can play at right now in the market with USL Championship and the Super League. There's definitely a place for the Armada as well, playing in the third tier in MLS Next Pro. I would hope we can coexist. I would like us to be able to work together. If they have any issues in terms of getting their stadium development done, we've already reached out to them and said, come and join us. You can be part of what we're trying to do. Because again, we believe in the philosophy of, a high tide raises all boats, to borrow an Armada analogy. So again, we wish them nothing but the best. We want to be supportive of them. We think there's room for everybody. It'd be good to get along.
When you look at your first day on the job there at SC Jax to where everything is now, what sticks in your mind? Do you remember that first day of work when you signed on there? And when you think back to that first day to now, do you have time to sit there and breathe and sit there and go, okay, we've got a good start, we've still got a long way to go? Or do you get to sit back and go, man, we've really done a lot in X amount of period of time?
Don't spend any time looking at that, to be honest with you, John. It's on to the next thing. We need to move forward. We need to keep the momentum going. And that's something that we're dedicated to. This thing has been more of an evolution. It didn't happen overnight. So trying to go back to, a day, a first day, there really wasn't a first day. There was a whole bunch of first days and a whole bunch of milestones, and hopefully there'll be a whole bunch of milestones to come. But no, we're just focused on just getting our head down and getting the job done. And, it's easy to talk. It's easy to say we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We've tried to shy away from that and just really work on getting the job done and then making an announcement when we get something done rather than making an announcement about an announcement. So, that's important to us too, to get things done and to carry this through. And we see that as a key part of our mission here to back up, what we said at the start.
SportingJax.com, and on the 280-character app, it is Sporting_JAX. And that's the way it is always on the Gram or the IG or the Insta, whatever the kids call it, Facebook and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. You can follow along And as we've always told Steve here on the network, if you ever want to break news, you can always come here and break news as we go. I promised you a reveal. When we were off air, I promised you a reveal to a past conversation that we had. And I actually found what I was looking for.
Oh, okay.
So for those who are listening, I'm going to describe what I found. And it is a very old school Scottish Claymores Letterman jacket.
Love it.
And
Love it.
that is right there. It was purchased by my father, Scottish Claymores right there, and I have it in my closet, and I have had it ever since NFL Europe and Scott Cooper were setting the world on fire as a wide receiver that nobody knew anything about. I found it, and I couldn't resist flashing it to you as we're here talking about things on StreamYard. I could not resist. I actually found it.
Nice one. I just had a 30-year flashback there, John, so much appreciated. That's awesome. They're not making those anymore, that's for sure. That's a collector's item you have right there. So I think we'll have to get you some of our new gear over. I'll break into one of these boxes that's been making me cough all day and get you something with the new brand on it. But no, that's great to see and very much appreciated. That was a special time for everybody involved with it, and really the start of my kind of sporting career, if you like, and learned a lot through that. And it's the same principles that apply there. Connect with the community, build this thing, do it the right way, and you'll have great success with it. So that's what we're trying to do here.
Steve Livingstone, President, CEO, Sporting Club Jacksonville, as they continue to make their strides in the USL and the Super League and USL Championship. Thanks for hanging out with us for a 1v1, my friend. We'll catch up soon because I know that you got more stories to break and you got a home that you can always break them. Thanks for hanging out.
All the best, John. Thank you so much.